about changing or, any of that. Just have a conversation.
Well, and so even though I have to go, I just realized I stopped the recording for the 1 hour session. There's still 8 people on. If people want to continue asking Sam questions, go ahead. I'm going to turn off. I'm going to go do other things. But then when whoever is last, I think if you end the meeting, then the recording stops.
Is it recording now? Oh, I see. It does say
it is recording now, but this is a separate recording, which I may or may not keep. So, Luke, if you wanted to go ahead and ask something, I'm going to run away now, and I'll touch base with everyone afterwards.
Okay.
Okay.
I have a lot to digest now, and so later on I'll come back to you after consulting my colleagues.
Sure.
Thank you very much. That's a really, really great session. And
oh, thanks.
Yeah, I'll just send you and John a quick email, and then later on we'll be able to
great.
Consult. It's that group I want to contribute is actually the nemesis for USDA APHIS for invasive pests. So
right, there's a lot in there.
Yeah.
And lots of cool, Hawaiian species and other things too. So
yep,
works both ways.
Yeah, well, my research base is the South Pacific Islands, where I lived for 15, 16 years.
Oh, wow.
And
that's the epicenter.
Too. I used to live in Papua New Guinea, among others.
Wow. Wow. Yeah. That is very cool.
Yeah. All right. Thank you.
See you.
All right.
Hey, Jason.
Quick question for you. If I Dig Bees comes to pass, we would be very keen to have you and your team come up to Philadelphia at some point next year before any of the digitization takes place. And I just wanted to get an idea of how feasible such a visit might be, and if there were advanced students who are capable at bee identification, we could fund them to.
Are we talking about going through your pro-tem, Jason, or?
Yeah, not so much pro-tem, but we have 4 large collections that we've accessioned within the past 6 years, which have bumped our Apoidea holdings up over 100,000 specimens.
Wow, cool.
And some of that stuff has been identified by non-experts, but we are reluctant to have a lot of that data input without
checking
someone who knows what they're doing checking it.
Yeah.
In the Frank Fee collection, this massive Syrphid collection where we received 95,000 specimens, Fee collected a lot of Apoidea that were involved in mimicry associations with the Syrphids that he was focused on. So we have a huge number of bees in that collection, maybe about 9 to 10,000 specimens, which have a lot of really, really valuable plant association data.
Oh yeah.
We have all of his field notes, and he was very meticulous in recording flower visitations. So
that's wonderful.
That material in particular, we would really welcome having some experts come and take a look at it.
Is that is most of this provisionally identified, or some of it just
a subset is provisionally identified? At the time of Fee's death, there were a lot of specimens that he had only put codes on and had not completed labeling. They just had locality codes and dates. And we've had a student who's worked on getting archival labels put on some of that material, but there's still a lot of bees that need to be cross-referenced with his field notes, and we have to finish labeling some of that stuff.
Right.
But
before
we've got about
moving.
Yeah, but we've got about 9,000 now that are archivally labeled and ready to have that labels put on.
Cool.
There's also a large collection from Rutgers, which isn't going to isn't likely to be as interesting. It's mostly Bombus, and it has some good data in it, but it's not a diverse collection like fees, which includes a broad range of bees.
I'm surprised Rutgers gave up a collection. I thought they have Ray Winfrey and.
This was all Winfrey stuff that they didn't want, that they didn't have space to store.
Okay.
And they're about maybe 13,000, 14,000.
And those should be identified.
Mostly APD, mostly identified.
Okay. So just in terms of workflow, the more the collection is ID'd even provisionally and the more morpho it is, the faster I can go through it.
Right.
And I could also throw out some invitations to other people to come up at the same time, or, you know, rotate through on some of these things that would have abilities. It'd be fun because my stepson lives in Philadelphia, so I have a place to stay. And
well, it would be great to have you, depending on how the timeline works out for this. I think Neil's been aiming for having digitization start around this time next year, or late summer next year.
Okay.
So we'll see what happens with the pandemic and travel restrictions. And
are you allowed in the museum at all? Or?
We are, but most of us are still working primarily from home and going in a few days a week.
Just to get stuff.
We're still waiting. The university is doing baseline COVID-19 testing now for all faculty and scientific staff to try to get a handle on how widespread.
Yeah. Well, as a possibility, you know, we could, you know, I could set something up probably in my stepson's house and just rotate drawers, you know, across several days. As a, you know, not optimal, but, you know, better than shipping things. And, you know, I work best when I'm like, okay, you're here breathing over my shoulder, and, or I come up and like my time is going to be devoted to that project versus another set of specimens on another shelf that is fighting with all the other specimens to get identified.
We could certainly work something out if it was problematic to have you working in the collection, but I'm hopeful that by this time next year things will be much better.
Our lab's open. I mean, we have a COVID plan, and we have people masked, and so I'm comfortable with coming in, but we'll just keep that as a possibility. And
are federal agencies doing surveillance testing that you're aware of?
No. Well, not within our groups that I'm aware of. We're just isolated. So the others are in bigger buildings. There's multiple people. So they're mostly just like what you're saying. They can come in and get something. And also we're, you know, we need access to the collection. We have things that we're doing now that I'm on the refuge here outside. So it all gets plugged in different ways. Right, that sounds good.
Jim Fenster from the Carnegie here. If you're coming to Pennsylvania, we'd love to have you stop by here in Pittsburgh as well. So keep us in mind.
The opposite corner.
Right.
Yeah. So, what's the status of the Carnegie collections? Has anyone? What's like? How identified are the Hymenoptera, the bees? I don't.
Well, the collection had a Hymenopterus back in, I think, the 40s and 50s. So we do have some of the collection is identified, but we do, you know, since that time, there's been a lot of pro tem. No one's been here to identify it. So we, like I said, we have probably 100 drawers of pro tem.
Wow.
Hymenopterus. So, yeah. The bees, we probably have about 150 drawers of identified stuff. So.
Right. And you know, my skill set would be east of the Mississippi. Anything else is like, I just would have to say no, because I would be too slow. But east of the Mississippi, Pennsylvania stuff, that'd be great. You know, and again, I think I have friends in Philadelphia. I think I could, or Pittsburgh too, that I can stay in, a couple different groups. So go work that out too.
Okay, yeah, just let us know and we'll see what we can do. So.
All right. Better to invite me at some point. Got literally, again, there's just I have my own pro tem out of nightmare. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if you would want to have a single trip where you hit Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, you know, like different weeks or something like that on the same trip, or separate trips.
No, separate. I mean, I'm
Okay.
not that far from either, so it doesn't make sense to go do both, I think, at the same time.
Right. Okay. Sounds good.
Sounds good. We look forward to seeing you.
Yeah, and I'm really happy with Shelby's Pennsylvania paper on county lists and things. I think that's a really rock solid core now. The previous one was a little sketchy, had some problems, but Shelby did a really good job, and I think you know, gives people a target. Like, let's fill in those counties. How many counties in Pennsylvania? So quiz.
Too many.
It's what, like 90? Is it that
80
many?
or 90, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's actually a really great, and they're all about the same size. I think this is a pretty good atlas kind of opportunity. We do that. We're doing that with our meager 26 or so in Maryland, and I've learned a lot. And it gives people targets. You know, like, hey, there are only 5 specimens from Northumberland County or whatever.
There's still some widespread bee taxa, I think, that haven't been recorded from counties where they obviously should be.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that kind of thing. So that's good. And I'm sure doing this will add more.
Definitely.
All right, I've got some new people knocking at my door now, so I'm going to
All right.
sign out.
Thanks, Sam.
See you guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, Jason.
Hey, John.
I just emailed Sam Droege about, because I want to use the bee stuff in one of the things I'm teaching this fall. So I asked him for some ideas. I also requested a set of specimens. Did you happen to do that?
I did already, and he confirmed that he's shipping some to us.
Okay, well, maybe I'll have him, maybe if he's got another set, he can ship them right to my home. But anyway, so they're labeled?
Yeah, they're labeled. They just need debt labels added, as we had
Okay.
suspected from his original description. So those will be really useful for training people to use
You bet.
the keys.
Yeah, they will be very useful. So,
I also, after you had logged off of the previous Zoom, I urged Sam to figure out a way to come spend some time in Philly working up the fee aportia and so on. And he said that it should not be a problem and that his stepson lives in Philly, so he has a place to stay. And
okay.
that
And we can probably use Jessup if he needs it, but he's
Yeah.
USDA, so he